You finally did it, right? You landed your first big boy, big girl job, and you're feeling good about yourselves, right? That salary, that new paycheck hits your bank account, and for the first time in your life, you actually feel like, you know what? I'm making a lot of money. I'm making more than my overhead is. I'm making more than I need. And this is awesome, right? I can start paying off some of my debts, my student loans, my credit card bills, whatever it might be. And I can start doing some things for myself. But here is the truth. And this is one of the most dangerous moments of your life, because this is when people, without even realizing it, they set themselves up to go broke because they start to make some really poor decisions because they feel like, you know what, I deserve to finally be able to have some nice things because, I suffered. I went to college, or I went to trade school, or I did whatever I needed to do in order to start making this amount of money. And now I want to have some of the benefits of, spoiling myself. And so here is villain number one, right? Which what I call is lifestyle creep. It's sneaky, right? It starts off, you're making more money. So naturally you want to upgrade. You say, hey, I want to either go out and buy my first home, or I want to move apartments so I get a bigger, nicer apartment. Maybe I've been driving the same car since I was 16, or maybe I got a beater car when I went to college and now I want a nicer car. I need for work, my new job, I need some nicer clothes. I want to take some trips. I need a fancier weekend. And so this is when people start to spend some money because they got a little room in their stuff rather than trying to figure out, okay, let me get all my debts paid off. Hopefully you don't have any. Let me see about figuring out a way to start saving and investing and put some money to the side for an emergency fund. And they're not doing that. And suddenly here's what happens. You're right back where you started before, right? You're just making more. So more money, more problems. You're living paycheck to paycheck. And now you got a little bit nicer stuff, but you got zero money saved up. And a lot of these people put themselves into some serious debt. And the raise or that first job or that increase in pay that you're so hard work, to look for just got eaten alive. I was talking to one of my clients yesterday about this same story I hear about all the time, early 30s, $30,000+ in debt, trying to figure out how to get promoted and make more money at work, probably going to take a second job. And all of that is in order to pay off all this bad debt that they built up in their 20s and early 30s. It's not even to help them get ahead financially yet. So just be super careful with all this stuff, because all this that you work so hard for, one, you've eaten all the money up. You're not actually richer. You're just spending more money to stay broke in just better style, better stuff, better things, but still broke. And so here are the two main hidden killers that make lifestyle creep and the pain of spending more than you make worse. And the first one that no one ever thinks about is taxes, right? So let's say you make a $60,000 a year salary. You do not get $60,000 deposited in your bank account, right? 5,000 times 12 would be 60,000. They're not putting $5,000 a month into your bank account because between federal, state taxes, Social Security, Medicare right off the top, and after all that happens, maybe you see 75% of it, so maybe you get $45,000 in your bank account. And if you're in California or New York or one of these places that have really high income taxes or state taxes, it could be even worse for you. So know that you're not actually getting what your salary is. And second, the one that people really start to mess up is this spending that they're not thinking about. Like I've always said, all these subscriptions and all these auto pays and all these things that happen on your credit card, it's nice because they're getting paid, but then you forget about some of them. So whether it's Netflix or Spotify or your gym memberships or DoorDash premiums to be on some special account, they don't seem like a lot. And all of a sudden you add them all up, especially the ones you're not using. And before you know it, it's $200, $400, $800 a month. It's thousands of dollars over the year that's just leaking away, drop by drop, just going away out of your money. And it's just one of those things where you're just like, where did all this money go? And it's just something you got to pay attention to. So let's talk a little bit about this. This is like a first salary, a first high income, at least first what feels like your first high income psychology trap. And here's what happens, okay? Your brain tricks you, okay? You live through high school, you live through college, you grind it out through your first job, or maybe you work through school, maybe you went to trade school and you work there, and suddenly, like I said, you've got that extra money. But that's why most people, when they buy their first expensive watch or car or trip or their first paycheck, it's all on emotions. We help people buy and sell homes, but for personal residents, it's very emotional for them. It's not always a logical decision. And this is the reason why 70% or more of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And some of them make six figures plus. It's not like they're making bad salaries. I can't tell how many times we've helped clients buy and sell real estate that make great money, but financially they're not in a great position to get somewhere. So what is the plan? Okay, how do we make a shock-proof plan, an escape route in order to stop lifestyle creep before it wrecks your wealth? And so here's kind of the plan. There's 5 steps I want to talk about on there today. And to me, they work really well, okay? First one is this. You got to make a deal with yourself before that paycheck hits. If you were living on 30 grand a month and now you're making 60, you got to act like you only got a $15,000 a year raise. Only half goes to lifestyle. The other half goes to saving and investing, ideally if you don't have any debts to pay off, right? So whatever kind of raise you get, you only get to keep half to live on. The other half goes for long-term stuff. So you got to automate that other half into saving and investing, right? Don't even touch it. Send it straight to the high yield savings account. Send it to the Roth IRA, the traditional Roth IRA, the 401k. Get it invested in the index funds. Get that money working for you so that you can eventually have some financial freedom, okay? And you got to do that. The younger, sooner you start, the better. And if you don't believe me, go to Dave Ramsey's website. We'll put the link down below. Go to the investment calculator. It doesn't matter if you look at the retirement one or the regular one. It's the same numbers, and you will see what happens when you start in your 20s versus starting in your 30s or 40s or 50s. It's crazy. I'll do a whole video on just that one specific topic, okay? The third one is you got to live the upgrade, but keep the gap, what we just talked about. So when you get it, split it up 50-50, but half's got to go one way, half's got to go the other way. You got to kill those leaks. We just talked about them earlier. Subscriptions, check them once a year minimum. Love to see you checking more, and get rid of all those things that you're not using, that you're spending money on, and get rid of that crap. And then the last one that you have to do, so that if for some reason this income was suspended, you got laid off work, at the time of shooting this video, there's a government shutdown. So there's people that are going to be out of work for a little while. And so you need to build up that emergency buffer. I always talk about a minimum of 3 months. I personally like to have more towards 6 months. And because I'm the kind of person that has a job where my income is unstable, I like to have 12 months. That might be a little extreme for many of you, but let's build up 3 and start from there. And here's a little side by side if you do these things, okay? Let's use 2 people, person A, person B. They're both making this $60,000, and we talked about taking, they were living on 30, now they're making 60, taking 15 to increase your lifestyle and taking 15 to invest, right? So if person A takes $15,000 a year for the next 10 years and earns a 10%, which is what the stock market's earned over the last 50 years, they would have $250,000. If person B didn't do that, spent all their money, lived on what they didn't, just whatever, and now they would have zero. Zero versus 250. Let's say you started this at 25 and did it to 35. Go to that investment calculator and start from there and put $250,000 in as your starting point for one person, and then start working the retirement from 35 on. You'd be shocked how much more person A will have over person B by starting that 10 years earlier. And you've got to do these things. And this is why it matters. And this is why it's important, because I'm not talking about retiring. I'm talking about getting to a position of financial freedom. And you could do that sooner than later. So this is why I'm personally a fan of always talking about the long game. And how do we win at the long game? How do we do this? And this is why it matters so much, because if some person starts younger and earlier and sooner, time, compounding, you don't realize how much that's going to help you down the road. So if you can get this mastered when you get your first real paycheck, right, then you're going to be untouchable. Start this right out of school. If you were 18 and went to trade school and started at 20, even better. If you went to college and didn't graduate till 22 and didn't get a real job, like your first real where you have extra income till 24 or 5, start then. The more, the sooner, the earlier, the better. Because here's what happens to a lot of people, okay? They spend their 20s chasing image, things, toys. This is the one negative part about the social media environment that we're looking at right now, is that people always want to, and always know, or at least think they know, how other people are living. I can't tell how many times people have nice cars and nice homes and nice trips and nice jewelry, and I go to sell their house and they really don't have a whole lot other than this stuff. They don't have any money. They don't have any savings. And if they were out of work for any short amount of time, this would all come coming down and they would lose it all right away. So they figured this out. Then 20-year-olds figure it out. Then you get in your 30s, you spend your 30s digging out, trying to get out of debt. Then you get your 40s and you're financially way behind. And if you go to the investment calculator and show the difference of starting at 20 versus 40 or 25 versus 45, you will be shocked, the difference. And it's way harder to win this game starting later. Not that you can't win, but it's way more difficult to when you start later. So if you flip this script, and if you use your first job as a launching pad and not use it as a trap, and not live beyond your means and not live a lifestyle you can't afford, you're going to build wealth 10 times faster than your peers. And that's financial freedom before you turn 40. So by the time you hit 40 or 50, like if I wanted to right now, I don't have to work. I don't have to help every client. I don't have to do all this stuff all the time. I do it because I love it. I do it because I enjoy it. And then if I get a client I don't like, I don't have to work with them and I can go from there. So here is the call to action. Here is the mission. Don't let lifestyle creep rob you. Protect your raise, build that buffer, save and invest automatically, ideally 20%, and then you will win long-term. And if you're not sure what to invest it in or how to save it or what to do, reach out to me. We can talk more about your specifics because a lot of this information is going to be very specific to your individual case. And here's what I want to know. If you guys would do me a favor, okay? We all got our first paychecks. We all got our first real big boy, big girl job. We all started having somewhere we felt like we were making a decent amount of money. What was the dumb thing you did with that first real paycheck or that first real career that you started making a lot of money? Put it in the comments below. Don't worry. We've all done it. I've done it. Let's hear it. Maybe we can use some of these stories and learn some lessons for some others on what not to do. And if you're ready to outsmart these money traps like this one, hit subscribe, join the channel, reach out to me directly. The Complete Money Playbook is going to help you learn how to win at this game of money and finance, and just keep it simple. Let's keep more of your money working and investing for you and not lose it to this trap.